Now, Iran wants the U.S. sanctions that were imposed by the Trump White House lifted because they're working. The Iranian economy is tanking. Its oil exports have shrunk significantly. This as the United States continues to be a net oil exporter and a petroleum power broker on the world stage. Joining me now from Dallas, Texas, author of the new book, The Cure, A Blueprint for Solving America's Healthcare Crisis, co-founder and chief strategist of GDP Advisors, Seth Denson. Seth, it's amazing, and the oil industry is touting the success of domestic oil production, and they should be, right? Because we're looking at what some are calling the world leader now, the United States. Who would have thunk 30 years ago, 40 years ago, that would be sitting here saying that we're the world leader in oil production, oil exploration, and a lot of it has to do with this horrible word that so many Democrats hate and they shudder when they hear it. I'm going to say it right now. Fracking. You know, removing the oil from the shale, right? And this has really been a game changer for American oil production.
No, that's exactly right. Listen, Grant, I grew up in Midland, Texas. The Permian Basin, that's where I'm from. I come from a long line of the oil roots in my background, and I will tell you that while the rest of the world may not have known that America could have been a leader in oil production exports, we sure knew it out in Midland, Texas. There's a lot of oil under that ground. We're finding new ways to pump that oil out each and every day, and America could be completely removed from its dependence on foreign oil, and be the largest supplier for the world of oil very easily with the reserves that we have on hand.
You look at the reserves, they're from the shale in, I think it's North Dakota, Montana area there, is somewhere in the neighborhood of 30 to 40 billion barrels of oil. Now, that's just that portion of our oil reserves. It doesn't count what you all have in Texas.
That's right. Yeah, Texas is a big state, and we've got plenty of oil still under the ground here. But there's a lot of parts of the United States that have this. As you mentioned just a moment ago, there are new ways in which we're able to extract the oil from the ground. At least the experts are, and one of those is fracking. It is a dirty word to the environmental community, but the reality is it's a very clean and natural process, and there's ways that we can continue to pull this quality gold, as black gold as we call it here in Texas, out of the ground and improve our standing on the world stage.
How worrisome is it? We got some economic numbers out today in manufacturing, and there's kind of a Mendoza line. That's a baseball term, in case you folks don't know. Mendoza was a guy who didn't bat very well, and they call it, that's kind of the cutoff line in baseball, of whether you're doing very well at the plate or not. So the Mendoza line for manufacturing is around a 50% reading, and so it's dropped below 50%. How concerned are you with that?
Well, listen, this is all part of the natural global slowdown that we're seeing. I mean, listen, we're at 40, I think it's 49.6. So it's a rounding percentage point. Listen, anytime we see the economic downturn on a global stage, it's somewhat concerning. But again, I still think that America is in extra innings from a perspective, to stay with the baseball analogy of how the global economy is performing. We're still outperforming everybody else, and we're in a good position.
And yeah, once we get this deal done with China, and I firmly believe one way or another the president's going to hammer out a deal, I think there's going to be an economic grand slam for this republic, and look out, stock market, that thing's just going to take off. And God bless Midland, Texas, by the way. Seth, thanks.